In this video, I'm very excited because we're about to go over one of the most interesting and important principles in all of freestyle snowboarding. That principle is the blind landing. Blind landings are used on front side and backside spins, and it's referring to how you go and spot the trick to control your rotation and control your spot. It's used on every single front free, every single back one, and it is crucial part of freestyle snowboarding. A blind landing is referring to going and spotting the knuckle. Spotting the knuckle is the flat part of the jump. So that's the knuckle. And the reason why we're using the blind landing to spot the knuckle is because it does a couple of really important things. First, it lets us see where we are in the air. And second, it lets us go and land with our body twisted, letting us disperse the rotational energy. A great way to think about the blind landing is to think of trying to lock your eyes at a point in front of you, follow it, and keep it going throughout the motion. So you should go and start with your vision squared off straight, and as you pass that point, your vision gradually transfers uphill. You want to use a blind landing every time your back's rotating to the downhill, finishing the trick. So this is true for frontside 360s, rotating your back. It's also true for backside 180s because you're landing with your back facing downhill. Whenever you do a landing with your back facing downhill using blind landing, it's important to make sure you have pressure on your toe edge. If you go and keep pressure flat base or over your heels, you're going to be susceptible to clipping if you under rotate the spin, and we really don't want that to be an option. So the easy fix for this is to keep our body weight set over our toe edge. And as we rotate, we go and keep our body weight over there. And in theory, if done right, you can under rotate infinite amount of spins with only needing to worry about the pressure on your ankles, what isn't as bad as clipping an edge. When you go and rotate something like a 360 though, your center of balance will shift. So right now, I'm on my heels, but if I kept that going, I'd still keep myself on my heels. So we need to redirect our axis of rotation. So when we're taking off our front free, taking off on the heels and then shifting our weight over to our toes. So just like how you'd go and butter down a slope and you shift your weight, we want to be doing the same thing off the jump in order to ensure that we're landing onto our toe edge. So when we pop up, we can come, under rotate, and we'll be okay. We do this by making sure our axis for rotation is set over the balls of our feet. That's just your stack position. That lets you hold a little bit of edge pressure and get control and get that full flexible range of motion. If you go and fully extend yourself, you're not going to have the micro control in your core in order to readjust and shift your edge pressure. So it's really important whenever you're utilizing a blind landing to stay tight in the core so you can pop up and keep yourself engaged in order to shift where your edge is pointed. We basically want to set our rotation on that stack position and keep that rotation through the whole point. Never going and losing that stack position balance. Rotating within that is what gives you the control and the ability to land on your toe edge. So when I'm doing a backside 180, I'm doing a couple of things. First, I'm keeping my spot forward at the knuckle. Next, I'm keeping my axis of rotation set over the balls of my feet. This is making it so I can pop up, spot, and even if I under rotate, I'll be okay. And this under rotation is key because you want to be able to go and scuff if you need to. So keeping strong, spot forward, coming through, and pulling it around. And in theory, you can land with any amount of under rotation with minimal risk. That said, we don't want to use too much edge pressure. If you come in and use too much edge pressure on the landing, it's going to make you bobble and landing on too narrow of a point. It's important to land with just enough edge pressure to grip the snow and scoop it, but not so much to start digging in. On a back 5, this really helps us go and grip in the edge and slow down our rotation. But something on a back 1, we can just go and use a very light bit of edge pressure because we don't have much rotational force to kill. The more edge pressure you use, the more it will stop your rotation. And the less you use, the more you'll be likely to slip out. So if we pop up, don't use any blind landing or anything, we're going to continue to slip out. If we do a frontside 360 without using anything, we're going to continue to spin. Cab. And you can see how that's making me super at risk of catching my toe edge because my momentum isn't stopped. That's why we want to go spot forward, lock it, and hold that blind landing longer than you would think. Whenever you're utilizing a blind landing, it's important to move your head as little as possible. You want to set your head in front of you and keep your head in a stationary point as you rotate your head around it. So I'm not trying to go and look with my head or move my head around, head here, shift where I'm looking a bunch, because that's going to disorientate me and throw me off. You're trying to set your view straight in front of you and have your body rotate around that point. This is true for things like butters as well. Putting my spot here, keeping it here, and tracking it the whole way, and that naturally sets you up for the blind landing. We're not going and trying to rotate and then extend, because that's going to go and throw our center of mass over a board. Remember, when you're doing anything like this, any landings, any takeoffs, you're trying to keep your weight centered over your snowboard. You leave off your tail, but you land centered. And when we're going and doing the blind landing, you can have a tendency to land looking too far back uphill. So remember, keep your point in front of you, track it, and rotate your body around your spot, and that's going to give you so much more control and flexibility. The main thing you need to avoid to use a blind landing is throwing too soon. If I try to do a back one and rotate my upper body too soon, I'm not going to be able to track in front of me because I'm rotating past the point I'm trying to track. So if you find yourself going and pre-spinning with a front free, if you're pre-spinning, it's going to make it so you lose that ability to spot the knuckle, and you need to go and look around your shoulder in order to see. So that's why whenever we're utilizing these blind landings, we want to pop up, chest forward towards the jump. So like, you never want to snap more than your 90-degree position. This is as max range as you have. Once you rotate further than that range, your head's going to be positioned here, and that's going to make it so you have to spot the takeoff of the jump instead of the actual knuckle of the jump. For backside, it makes it so you go and turn, and you're stuck in this position looking uphill, and you won't be able to go and keep your spot, so you need to look over, making it so you throw off the whole trick. So on a frontside 360, if I go and rotate my upper body too soon, go and try to get too spun off the takeoff, it's going to leave my spot over there and disconnect me. On a backside 180, if I go and turn off the takeoff, I have no ability to spot the knuckle. And this is why it's so important to keep your spot up in front of you, so that way you're tracking over top of where you're going. You need to keep that spot up in front, travel over it, and then fall with a blind landing, all while keeping your weight centered over your board. It's also really important to not look up too soon. You want to pop up and hold that blind landing even longer than you think you need to. Really go and kill your full rotational momentum on that impact, because that's going to make it so you can go, kill it right away straight, giving you so much more control. Pop up, look at it, lock in right away, then pop up. If you like this video and want to see more videos like it, please leave a comment. It really helps boost engagement, get this video out to more people, and help support me in what I do. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back with another video soon.